Most people think that when an avoidant pulls away after hurting you, it means they've moved on, that the silence is the closure, that the distance is a decision. But that's not what's happening. What looks like indifference isn't indifference at all. It's a set of brutal, unspoken truths they will rarely, if ever, admit out loud. Not to you, not to the people around them, sometimes not even to themselves. And the more they pull away, the more those truths pile up underneath the surface. Here's what no one prepares you for. When the avoidant hurt you and then disappear behind that wall of silence, they didn't do it from a place of not caring. Research on avoidant attachment shows that people with this pattern don't stop feeling. They stop being able to tolerate what they're feeling. So while you were left wondering what you did wrong, they were busy doing the only thing their nervous system knows how to do when things get real: retreat, contain, and survive. But underneath that distance, 7 brutal truths are already living, and they follow the avoidant whether they admit them or not. Truth number 1. The distance is protection, but not from you, from themselves. And this is the part that changes everything once you understand it. It wasn't that they wanted space from what you two had. They wanted space from how much what you two had was starting to matter. Because here's what most people never realize about avoidant attachment. The withdrawal isn't triggered by your flaws. It's triggered by your realness. When someone is emotionally inconsistent or unavailable, the avoidant nervous system knows exactly how to manage that. Distance feels justified. The story makes sense. But when someone is warm, steady, and genuinely present, that's when the alarm goes off. Because the closer someone gets, the more there is to lose. And the more there is to lose, the more terrifying it becomes to stay open. So they created distance. Not because they wanted out, but because staying felt like standing at the edge of something with no way to control the fall. The distance isn't a verdict on you. It's a survival response that was wired into them long before you ever arrived. Truth number 2. Hurting you made them feel like the worst version of themselves. This one might be hard to believe, but stay with it. You might assume that because they cause the pain, they're somehow shielded from it. That the one who builds a wall doesn't feel what happens on the other side of it. But they do, and in some cases more than you know. Avoidant individuals often carry a deeply embedded belief that they are broken when it comes to love, that they hurt people, not out of cruelty, but out of an inability to do what others seem to do naturally. When they watch you absorb the weight of their withdrawal, it didn't feel like relief. It felt like confirmation of their worst fear about themselves. Research on attachment styles consistently shows that avoidants experience significant shame cycles. Not visible, not dramatic, but persistent and suffocating. And the distance they keep after hurting you isn't only self-protection. It's also self-punishment. They don't feel entitled to your warmth anymore. So they remove themselves from it entirely and carry the weight of that quietly, alone, in the silence they created. Truth number 3. In that silence, they are thinking about you more than you think. Let that one land for a second. They might look completely detached. The silence might feel absolute, like you simply stopped existing to them. But the mind doesn't go quiet just because the behavior does. Every single moment they chose not to reach out is a moment they actively made that choice, which means you were present enough to choose against. The memories don't stop. The replays don't stop. The small things, a song that meant something, a phrase you used to say, a place that now carries a different weight, still land. They just have no outlet for any of it. No safe way to acknowledge what they're still carrying. Because acknowledging it means cracking open the very wall they built to survive this. This is one of the quieter tortures of avoidant attachment. The feelings are completely intact, but the entire coping system is built to suppress, not express. So what looks like not thinking about you is, in many cases, thinking about you constantly, with nowhere for any of it to go. Truth number 4. They can see the distance is making things worse, and they still can't stop it. This is where it stops being a choice and starts being a trap. Avoidant individuals are not unaware. Many of them can see, with painful, frustrating clarity, that the very thing they're doing to feel safe is destroying something they don't actually want to lose. They understand logically that pulling away is widening the gap, that every day of silence is being read as rejection, that every week that passes makes return feel more impossible. And yet, The system doesn't respond to logic in those moments. It responds to perceived threat level and genuine emotional intimacy, the kind that makes someone feel truly known and truly seen, registers as danger to a nervous system that was trained to associate closeness with eventual pain. So they stay behind the wall, not because they've decided that's what they want, but because the part of them that makes decisions in moments of fear is not the part that knows what they actually want. And that gap between knowing and doing is where they quietly suffer. Truth number 5. What they want and what they're doing are two completely different things. This might be the hardest truth to sit with for both of you. They don't want to be the person on the other side of that silence. They don't want to be doing this. But wanting something and being emotionally equipped to reach for it are not the same thing. Research on avoidant attachment consistently finds that avoidant individuals score surprisingly high on the desire for connection. Their avoidance is not a preference for being alone. It's a defense against the vulnerability that real connection demands. Somewhere behind a distance is a person who wants exactly what they're staying away from. They just cannot find a way to cross back over that doesn't feel like walking directly into the thing they fear most. And so the gap stays open, not because it's what they chose, but because they don't yet know how to choose differently. Truth number 6. They're waiting for a signal that it's safe, but they don't know how to ask for one. Pay close attention to this one, because it explains a lot of behavior that would otherwise make no sense. The distance isn't permanent in their mind. It's a holding position. Most avoidant individuals, in the middle of a withdrawal, are not thinking this is over. They're thinking I can't handle this right now. There's a meaningful difference between those two things. The problem is that right now has no defined endpoint. And while they're waiting for something to feel less overwhelming, you're receiving the silence as a final answer. They don't know how to say, I'm overwhelmed and I need time that isn't abandonment. They don't have the emotional language for it, or they're too deep in shame to reach for it. So instead they go quiet and hope, in a way they would never say out loud, that you're still there when the wave passes. This is not a strategy. It is not fair, but it is what it is. A person completely in over their head, with no roadmap for how to swim back to you. Truth number 7. What they're most afraid of is that they've already lost you, and they know they earned it. This is the one that lives at the very bottom of everything. The one the silence is partly built to avoid ever confronting, because somewhere in the quiet, in all that deliberate, exhausting distance, they know the pattern they ran has a cost, that the person they hurt had limits. That patience, however real, is not infinite, and the longer the distance stretches, the sharper one specific fear becomes. Not that you'll move on someday, but that you already have, that the window has permanently closed, that what they could have had, what they quietly knew they had, is now past tense. And here's the cruelest part. This fear doesn't make them act. It produces more stillness, more silence, more distance. While underneath all of that silence, the weight of what they may have already lost becomes the loudest thing in the room, something they can't outrun, something they can't suppress, something that follows them quietly and relentlessly into every new day they choose to stay behind the wall. Here's what matters most, especially if you're the one who has been left carrying the weight of their silence. They aren't pulling away to punish you. They're pulling away because their entire emotional system was built to survive pain through absence, and no one ever taught them a different way through it. The walls weren't built against you. They were built long ago, in moments you weren't there for, against wounds that never got the chance to heal properly. Your consistency wasn't the problem. Your love wasn't the threat. You were simply close enough, real enough, to make those old walls feel necessary again. So you have two choices. You could hold the space open, waiting for them to find their way through something they may not yet be ready to face. Or you can take what you now know, that this is about their war, not your worth, and let that be the thing that finally sets you free. Both choices are valid, but only one gives you your life back. And that choice starts right now.